All right, so hopefully this works and comes out fine. I need to join that meet. Google. Join, check out that, join. And I'm going to share screen. Microphone. Yes, this. All right. Hopefully you can hear me. And you guys can see my screen, right? Just making sure you can see my screen. All right. Should be recording. Okay. All right. So yeah, what I said I was going to do is we're going to be continuing Python. I'm going to, where's your folder name? Let me see. Reveal in folder. Week 2. Let's call this lecture 2. Yeah. I'm going to start it here. Open a new window. Open folder. On the left, in here, week 2, lecture 2. Right, all right, cool. So, what we're going to be going over, we started lists and arrays. We also need to look at what is known as dictionaries. The reason we need to look at dictionaries, because remember we talked about JSON? Yeah. JSON with the curly brackets and the double quotes and all them something there. Python has their own interpretation of the JSON notation, right?
Okay.
But they're called dictionaries. Dictionaries, they're similar to arrays and lists, but instead of accessing values from their index, we use a name. Yeah? So there's a name instead of the index. Let me show you what I mean. So I can create an app.py. All right, close that. All right, so I have an object. Let me call it person. Person equal to, and I get open and close some curly braces. All right? Typically, if it was a list of people, or if it was a single person, you'd say maybe person equal Philip in double quotes, right? But let's say, for instance, I need a variable that's more complex than just something that holds a string, which is a name. I want something that can hold person name, then date of birth, then favorite color, and maybe some other stuff. I'm going to open and close my curly brackets, and I'm going to specify the different fields that this object has. A field that it may have is a name, and that person's name would be Philip. I'm going to put comma. You remember how I have key, colon, value, comma, key, colon, value when I was talking about JSON? Another thing would be like date of birth, colon, and then that would be, I'm not going to put my actual date of birth. When you guys born? You guys born like 2004? 2004 dash 12 for the 12th, for argument's sake. Favorite color, let's see, favorite color. Nobody's favorite color is green. A joke. Green. Yeah? All right, you know, because you said that? Purple. Okay. All right. Cool. So I have an object that's more complex than just a simple variable that has a single value in it. It has more than one values in it, and each one of these values is going to be referenced by not its index, like a 0, 1, 2, 3, but by its name. What I mean by that is, if I wanted to be able to print this person's name, I would have to go say print, and then say person, and say square bracket, name. Yes, go ahead. What's that? Oh, I wonder. Let me mute my phone. That's a good point. Okay, my phone's muted. Should be good now. Thank you. I can Close this. All right, and I think the call's still going, right? Yes. All right, cool. Right, so yeah, what I would do if I wanted to be able to print this person's name is instead of, typing out Philip and printing that, I just say person, square bracket, name. And I can print this now, so let me just run this. And it should wait. Why did it break? Name is not defined. Oh, I think this needs to be in a double quotes, maybe. Really? Double quotes?
Why do you put name in double quotes? Person name.
Come again?
You said print person name. Why is the name in double quotes for print?
Okay. Well, let me just run this and then I'll answer that question. Okay, that worked. So the reason why we need to put double quotes here, so guys, take time please. Yeah, so the reason why we have to have name in double quotes here is because name isn't a variable. It's similar to an index where you could use a number to represent a particular position inside of an array, and you don't put double quotes around a number because it's a number.
But you don't put around I.
We don't put, because that's a variable. Okay. In this case, this is not a variable. Syntax just says if you're going to be referencing something by its name, you put in double quotes. Yeah? Because it's not a variable that's assigned outside. If you did have a variable that had a value inside it and you wanted to use that to reference it, you could. So I wouldn't put the double quote if I had something like this. Suppose I had a variable, variable equal, and I put name here. Then I'd put variable here, but that's kind of confusing. I could do this, and then that would work. Because variable is a container that stores a value, name. So this would be person name. Yeah? But it's just one extra step. Something like this could work, but it depends very much on the scenario. Yeah? Let me see. Let me tell you. Come again? We'd use return if it was a function. Remember, it's not a function, so we don't return. But tell me if that makes sense. Let me pull for an example, one sec.
Can I help me something again? See you do something. You go new window. And then now you say open file, open
folder, yeah. Did that make sense? All right. All right, let me give you a simple example. Oh, you don't understand why this works? This one here? Okay. So before, when it said person name in double quotes, that made sense, yeah?
Yeah, because name is a part of the person object.
Right. So if I have a variable here.
Yeah, but variable is not related to person.
It isn't. It is a variable that stores some value. And that value is one of these. So it's kind of like a placeholder. I could.
How does the name know that it's related to person? If I had person 2, what name would it be?
If you had person 2.
Yeah, if I had another object.
Okay. 2. Let me, copy these. Like that. And then I run this. Wait, why that break? Oh, hold on. Still print Philip. The reason it still prints Philip is because I'm printing the name of person. Not person 2, what are you saying? Make sense? Yeah.
So you have to read it from the right to
left. From left to right. Well, kind of. It is the name of the person.
So it's whatever is stored.
Yeah, it's whatever is stored.
Which is
Name. In the object. The dictionary. Yeah. Of this person. Yeah. Yeah. So it's similar to arrays where if you wanted, if it was like this, and I had that, And that, if I want to get the second person in my people array, I would use this, right? So it's people square bracket 1, because I want to get this particular value in this variable. But in the case of my dictionary, what I want to get is this value from this person. And I reference this value by using the name. Yeah? If I want them date of birth, I use DOB. Well, because we're trying to find out what this value is. We don't know what it is. We may not know what it is. We could get a list of objects. Let me see. So we could get a list of objects. Yeah, man, so suppose we had this. What I have on screen is a list of objects. This is one singular list and it have two objects in the list, right? And I want to use a for loop to print everybody's name in my list. Let's use a for loop. I'm going to say for person, that's better, person, oh, so this is going to be persons now since it's a list. For person in persons, and I'm going to print person square bracket name. And then this should just print everybody's name.
So both Philip and Jim.
Yep. So I'm printing the name of each person. It looks specifically for name because I put name here. So. If you're going to assign, you mean like to a JSON specifically? What do you mean? I'm not sure if I get you. Oh, why I put name in quotes right here? Over here too? Okay. The short answer is that is the syntax of Python. For this one, I'm more comfortable saying that it's done this way because that is the syntax of Python. Yeah. This one, I don't know. Like if it wasn't in double quotes, it would be considered a variable. Like when I had variable equal to whatever it was, and then it would look for that variable, see what the value inside it is, and then try to use that value. But we just need to specify a value here. So you put in quotes. As a variable. Yeah, name equal name. That would be our next way, but that's more steps. Wait, that makes sense? Yeah. What if I also wanted to print the person's favorite color? Philip purple, Jim red, yeah. Or to make it look a little bit better, I could say something like comma. Well, actually, that may not work. Yeah, the plus might work better. Plus double quotes.
Make it decide and say.
Color is favorite color? Oh, that's the wrong symbol. My mistake. This is what I wanted. There. Philip's favorite color is purple. Jim's favorite color is red. Make sense? Can we do it again? Or we're good?
Goodish.
I'm going to show you another way to accomplish this particular line that, in my opinion, is a bit more simple. It's easier to read and it's easier to type. And it looks like this. We will use what is known as an F string. So an F string is a regular string that allows you to put variables in it without having to use the plus or commas. So you put that F right here and you put double quotes. So now, because I have my F string, I can just drop my variables in as long as I wrap them in curly brackets like this. So I'm going to say person name, and I can just put a favorite color is. Put these are here and then put person square bracket. What goes here again? Favorite color?
Green.
Color. Wait, this is broken because I didn't close this. Okay. Is this? Okay. So I have a F, then I put in my curly brackets the variable or the data. Then I just put the rest of the string, curly brackets, the data. Yeah? So it allows me to write it without the whole heap of plus, 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 plus. And it should give me the same result. F just tells it that if you see curly brackets, what's inside the curly brackets is a variable or some Python data, something other than a string, an object. Yeah. Yeah. This is just an optional way of doing it. You don't have to do it this way. You can still just revert to using plus if you want to. Undo it? Oh. Because yeah, you have to, for this one, you put the variable, put plus, then you open double quotes, then you put a string, then you close double quotes, then you plus, then you put the next thing. Any erase the curly brackets, you just put that variable here, so yeah. It's simpler in my opinion, you don't have to do it this way. Yeah? All right, let me see now. Is that? Well, you put a curly bracket everywhere you put a variable. So there's a variable here, so and a variable here, so. The F makes it so that everywhere there's curly brackets, it means that there's a variable here. The F has to be on the outside of the double quotes, but inside the print brackets. Yeah. All right, so let me see. Write a function.
Excuse me, sir. I get that
Syntax error. At this stage, you're not supposed to get syntax error in a bridging.
No, I don't understand this. Where them I said this?
Oh, you're missing a comma. Remember, a list is supposed to be separated. The elements of a list are supposed to be separated by a comma.
Oh.
Oh, that too. And
comma.
yeah, whole heap of comma you're missing. All right, let me check to make sure that the guys on the chat not talking to me because I'm not hearing anything. I don't know if it's because the speaker's low. I don't hear anything at all. Wait, let me see. Am I supposed to be? All right, I think I'm supposed to hear you guys now. Okay, yeah. In case you guys were talking, or I just want to confirm you guys weren't trying to reach out to me. Good? Okay, I can't even hear what you're saying. The speaker's low, but it's all right. Use the chat if anything. We're talking WhatsApp if anything. Yeah, I'm not using my own laptop because I forgot my charger at home, but yeah. All right, cool. Let's see, I had something that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, I kind of like this one. All right, I'm going to create a new file. All right, I'm going to write a function that takes an array of strings. Yeah? So I'm going to create an array of strings first. I'm going to say, let's write it down here. So I'm going to call it, so I'm going to call it things. And I'm going to have, all right, you know what? No, let me see. Let's just use names, easier. Names equals, so I'm going to put my name in there. I'm going to put Richard's name in there. Richard. I'm going to put, look up some name. What is that? Jim, John, and I'm going to duplicate these a few times. So put this one here. Put 2 of those. 3 Jims. And maybe 4 Johns. Copy. And a couple more Richards. Copy. All right. So I have an arbitrary number of duplicates for each name. Oh, where? Oh, thanks. All right, so let's have an arbitrary number of each name in the list, right? What I want to do is I want to write a function that takes a list of names and it's supposed to return a dictionary that tells me how many times each name exists in the list. All right? So I'm going to write do I need a function? Yeah, I do need a function. I don't need a function. Let me do the for loop first. What's that? Come again? Names? In this case? Because it's a variable, no. Oh, it's not a dictionary. This is not a variable. Or it's a list. It's not in an object currently, no. It's not. It's just a list. All right, so I'm going to say for name in names. We understand this part so far, right? Just the one line that I have for name in names. Come again? Right. Right. Okay, good. All right, before I do this, can we think of like a non-code related way of doing this? Like suppose, for instance, you had a bucket of names written on paper. How would you organize this to make it so that each name was in a pile for itself? What would you do in real life, not in code? Take out the first one. Come again? For each name that you take out for the first time, you put in its own place. All right?
It's like you're creating a section for it.
Right. Okay, so that's one thing you're going to do. For each name that you take out for the first time, you put in a section for itself. But there's another thing that can happen. If you take out a name, it can already have a pile. You put it in that pile, and then you go again. So there are 2 things that we're going to do. Well, we're going to always take out a name, and we're going to do one of 2 things. Either you put in a place for itself, or you're going to look and see where it already exists, and you're going to put it there. So, all right? So those are the 2 things that we're going to do. So I'm going to say if. How you go? Is it if? Yeah.
Why?
I'm going to write an if, and I'm going to check to see if the name that I have in my hand is. Oh, another thing I forgot. So you know how anytime we're doing something and we want to create something at the end, example, the summation stuff that we're doing yesterday, we have a function or write some code that's supposed to give us a value after you've done keeping track of something over and over. We need to start off with that value first. That value, with the summation, we started off with 0. If it was a product, we'd start off with 1. For this case, because we want to output a dictionary, we need to create a dictionary first, an empty dictionary. So I can create an empty dictionary with no names, right? That's going to call a dictionary. All right, let me see. Name frequency. I'm just going to call it name frequency. Empty object. Yeah? So that's an empty dictionary with nothing in it. So I'm going to say if name in name frequency. What I'm doing here is I'm checking to see if there exists an attribute or a field inside of my dictionary that has the name of whatever that is before I place it. So what I'm doing here now, on first iteration, because this is empty, basically what I'm doing here is I'm saying, is Philip in this variable? On first iteration, it will not be in there. So because it is not in there, I'm going to create a new pile. So I'm going to say name frequency square bracket name equal 1. So what basically I'm doing here is I'm declaring that this is the first one. Name frequency Philip is going to be equal to 1. That's the first thing. Because I have, wait, sorry. If it is not in there, my mistake. That is if it is not in there. I did the opposite thing. Hold on. All right, so if it is in there, what I'm going to do is just going to add 1 to the thing. So I'm going to do this. Plus equal 1, right. My mistake. That is, if the name is in the dictionary, just add 1. But if it's not in there, I'm going to set it to 1. Yeah, this. So if it is in there, add 1. If it's not in there, 1. And then the next time, it will add 1. So I'm going to run this now. And I'm going to print my name frequency. So according to this, Philip in there 3 times, Richard in there 4 times, Jim 4 times, John 4 times, and Noah 1 time. Let's confirm. I hope that's correct. So there's 1. Okay, yeah. That's 3 Philips. 1, 2, 3, 4 Richards, 4 Jims, and a single Doe. Make sense? Come again? Yeah, so what it did is, this is the dictionary that's empty. What I'm doing here is I'm saying, on first iteration where name is Philip, I'm saying name Philip, set that to 1. So that creates a dictionary that has a key of Philip and a value of 1. Yeah? And then it will go again, you find Richard, so it's a, the value that should be set to the dictionary that has a key of Richard should be set to 1. And if you find a next Richard, it is already in there, so if it is in there, just add 1 to the value. Just add 1 to the dictionary Richard. Every time you find it, just add 1. But if you don't find it, set it to 1. Yeah? Okay. We're not going to spend too much time on dictionaries. Because yes, we will be using dictionaries because we're going to be using JSONs. But what's more important for us to understand is classes. We did object-oriented programming. We did in Java. We did Java. Some people did Java. You did Java? You did Java? Oh, all right. So you know about classes. Long time ago. All right, but we know what a class is, right? When we were doing Java, we would, for example, have something that says, I didn't remember, class, person, and a person would have a name, a date of birth, and a favorite color on them, just like the dictionary, right? One of the main differences is a dictionary is just a variable that has the curly brackets and the keys and the values. It doesn't really enforce any rules for us. It is, what I mean by that is, if I create a dictionary that has those 3 attributes or those 3 fields, it does not mean that I have to stick to those 3 fields all the time. I could make a dictionary later and it can have age or favorite food in it as well. And it would not stop me from creating that. What I want to do is I want to create a class that enforces some rules. I want to make it so that if you try to create a person, it must have a name, a date of birth, and a favorite color. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah? If it finds anything different from that, it's going to raise an error. And we want to be able to catch that error and handle it appropriately. The reason we need to do this is because, for example, if you are you're taking measurements from your environment using your sensors. You're measuring current and voltage. You want to make sure that the request that is being made to your API follows the rules set by your API. it's sending a current and a voltage. And that current and voltage, for example, maybe needs to lie within a certain boundary, right? If it's a case where you send current and voltage and power, it's supposed to ignore the power because you're not expecting the API to get power. It's supposed to calculate that. If it is a case where maybe it sends current and voltage and current spelled wrong, it's spelled with one R, you want to catch it and say, yo, current spelled wrong. If it is a case where the current says 1,725,000, you want to catch it and say, yo, this looks like corrupted data. Maybe we need to ignore this one. Don't say that in the database because that's going to look funny if you plot that on a graph. Because current going to be something like maybe milliamps or maybe a few amps, if so much. So we need to use classes to set some rules so that when we make our API use these rules, it allows us to catch what may look like dirty or invalid data. Right? So in order for us to do that, we're going to be using something that I talked about last week called virtual environments. And once I have virtual environment, what I mean is we'll have our laptop that has Python installed on it, and it can install different libraries on it. All of your projects can access those libraries however they want. But we wanted to make sure that this particular project that we're doing now has access to this library and nothing else on the computer has access to that library for different reasons. Maybe this version of the library is specific to our project and we don't want the latest version, we want this specific version because this one has the feature that we want. Yeah? Or maybe an updated version of it might crash the code that we have written because we didn't write our code to accommodate the latest version. So we want to have a specific version of the code. So we will install a small pocket version of Python that we will keep in our project. And we will install all the libraries that we want for that project inside the folder. So in order for us to do that, I'm going to go into my terminal and I'm going to write this command. I'm going to say Python space -m venv venv. Let me zoom in. All right, kind of weird if I zoom in. So Python space m for module, yeah, -m, venv. I'll explain this. This Python is us telling the computer to use Python to perform a certain action. This -m means module. We are telling Python to use the module that is called venv. So there's a module inside Python, built into Python called venv. So we're telling it, use the module, Python, use the module called venv to create a virtual environment called venv. I normally just call my venv because it's easier. You can call it whatever you want, but I would hope that you just call it venv for simplicity. You can call it virtual environment, you can call it gym, you can call it dog, you can call it banana, you can call it whatever you want. But I always call my virtual environment venv. So I'm saying, Python, call on a module that is called venv and make a virtual environment called venv. So I can run this. Run that, and it should create a folder called venv. It's going to take a little while for it to finish. We'll know when it's done when we get back our prompt. Give it a sec. All right, now it's done. So it took a while because it has to create a bunch of different files inside the virtual environment. So see if you can get it working and let me know if it works. Oh yeah, I still explain that. I normally don't. I don't like when VS Code sets that for me. I prefer to do it manually because sometimes it acts funny. I'm going to explain. All right, I clear it off. The reason why it asked me if it told me that it detected a virtual environment, it asked me if I want to use it. Right now, VS Code is using the system version of Python. This is the version of Python that's installed on the computer. I don't want it to use that anymore. I want it to use a virtual environment Python now. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to tell it use the virtual environment Python. Click on that now. So now, it's using the virtual environment version of Python instead. And we will continue doing our code using that virtual environment version of Python. The thing is, this is us telling VS Code to use it. But this right here, so, is not VS Code. This is a terminal that is in VS Code, but it is not inherently a part of VS Code. So we also need to tell the terminal to use the virtual environment. So the way we do that, I think there are two ways we can do it. I think one way is just close this and then reopen it. Does that work? It doesn't work. Oh, it should work. That error came up because something with your laptop. It says scripts are as disabled. Okay, I have a tutorial on how to fix this. I'm gonna have to do it now because you have WhatsApp on your laptop. I'm going to send a link. Hold on. Actually, no, hold on. All right, I may have to post it later. Let me see. Run scripts on Windows. So we just need to run this command here. Hold on. Is it this? I don't see the command. Oh, that's a list set. So is it just this? Allow to allow. Cha. Let me copy this and see if that works. PowerShell. Run this as admin. I should be able to just do this and then say A and then say enter, and that should work. And then I have to kill this, reopen it, and it works. Okay, good. I'll post what I just did in WhatsApp a little bit later. But I googled how to run scripts in Windows. The error I was getting before is because by default, some versions of Windows don't allow you to run scripts. The script that it's trying to run is it's trying to activate the virtual environment. We are telling the terminal that whatever you type in here should be done within the context of the virtual environment. So when you tell VS Code to use the virtual environment version of Python, you can close the terminal and reopen it, and it will just automatically activate. We know it's activated because this is right here before the prompt. If this is not here, it is not activated. Do not proceed. There's also a manual way to activate it by doing venv/scripts/activate, and you can just do that. When you type that out, it will just activate, but you can just kill the terminal and reopen it. When you kill the terminal, you can't use the X. There's an X right here, so you can't use the X. You have to use the trash can. Yeah? Okay, so now that we have our virtual environment set up, we can install a library. Confusion?
Still don't see the Microsoft Store. Still don't see
Yeah, you created a VNV, that's fine.
I don't see that.
So now, kill the, oh, you need to kill the terminal. So trash can, kill both of them.
Okay.
Kill that one too, and reopen it now. Press Control, and then this. See if that reactivates it, doesn't? Oh, click this. And then click the purge. Oh, it's because of the way you have VS Code open. You don't have it open to this folder that we're working in now. You have it open to a larger folder. You want to open VS Code to the folder that we're currently in, as in the project folder. So can you go to File? And then go to New, Open Folder, sorry. And then find the folder that we want to write your code in, that one. Open it, click that. That folder. Says. I'm gonna see him, right?
It's another folder where it's another folder. I don't want to work in this.
Let's just save. Let me see.
I don't want to work in that folder. That's for my project.
Oh. Can you create a new folder somewhere else and open VS Code to there instead? Yeah, create a new folder. All right. So with that, we have our virtual environment activated. Now we can install our libraries. So the libraries that we're going to install for us to create these classes is called Pydantic or Pydantic. Pydantic, I call it Pydantic. So I'm going to install my library using pip. I'm going to say pip install Pydantic and press enter. I'm going to create a guide that explains all of the commands I'm using and I'm going to post in WhatsApp. Cool. So I install Pydantic. Now that I install Pydantic, I can import it into my code. Just like how you do your imports in Arduino, I can do the same thing in Python. So let me clear all of this. And I'm going to say from Pydantic. Hello. So I have the room booked. I'm not running you, but I need quite if you're going to stay in here, if that's okay. Thank you. Cool. All right, so I have Pydantic installed. So now that I have it installed, I need to import it. So I can say from Pydantic, import. What do I need for Pydantic? I need base model. Base model. All right. So I imported Pydantic, and I don't import the whole of Pydantic. I just want one specific module inside of Pydantic. Base model. I'm going to explain what base model is used for. Let's create a class. Let's say, for instance, we want to create an API that takes, what name there? Sensor readings. So I'm going to say class sensor readings. And typically, when you're creating a class, I would imagine that you guys have probably learned this in Java. When you do making classes, they're capital letter. Variables are lowercase, classes are uppercase. So that's why I say sensor readings with a capital S and a capital R. And I'm going to put base model here. We are creating a class that has features of Pydantic. And the features are brought into our Python code by using base model. So the things that I'm going to type below here is stuff that base model is able to interpret and tell Python how to interpret. So I'm going to give it a few attributes. I'm going to say, do I have, let me see, oh, my laptop. Let's see if I can call on my notes. 1 sec. So, all right, so for example, say you have a device with a device ID, and that's going to be a string. Then you're going to maybe want to have a timestamp. Wait, let me not the timestamp yet, let me the temperature. That's going to be, what would be the data type for a temperature? A temperature. What's the data type for a temperature? So like device ID is a string, right? I know, the temperature would be a decimal or a float. Yeah? Yeah, float. So I'm going to use float. What about humidity? Same thing, eh? Humidity. Same float. Battery level. You can call it an int. Because battery is going to be either 1% or 100% or anything, anywhere in between. So this is me specifying the fields of my class. If I want to create a new object of class sensor reading, I need to have all these things. If I don't have all these things, it's going to raise an error. So let's take a look at what it would look like if I were to create an object of class sensor reading. So I'm going to say new underscore reading. No, yeah, let me say that. New reading is equal to sensor readings. Oh, let me call it sensor reading, since it's one thing. Sensor reading, I'd have to specify device ID. Device ID is equal to, maybe the device ID is 001, comma, temperature is equal to 34.2. Why is it okay? Humidity, what's a humidity? 80? Is that how humidities are written? I don't know. I don't know. If somebody asks what the humidity is, what number are you going to tell them? 8, I don't know, 10, I don't know. And then our battery, what's the battery level? 97%? 97. So if I were to run this now, let me see. I'm just going to run this and see if it complains. If it doesn't complain, then we're good. Okay, it didn't complain. Let me just print it out. Print new reading. And it printed the new reading. The new reading is a device ID of 001 or 0001, a temperature of 34.2, a humidity, and a battery level. So this line here is our device reading. Yeah? Didn't complain, meaning it satisfied all of the criteria required for a particular sensor reading. Yeah? If, for example, this was, let me see. If I put a Boolean here, I put true, I run this. It should wait. Oh, I didn't save. Wait, did I? Yes, I did. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Pydantic has this thing about parsing values. It took my true and converted it to an integer, which is 1. I don't like that. Let me see. Can I? Okay, let me give it something that it can't convert into a number. The string true. It should break. Okay, it broke. And it broke, and it told me, firstly, that there is a validation error. It tried to validate the data that we got, and it couldn't because value true, wait, where is it? Input should be a valid number, unable to parse the string as a number. The string that it got is true. It's trying to convert that to a number. It can't. Why is it trying to convert it to a number? Because we told it that temperature is a number or a float. Yeah? So it's trying to convert it, but it can't. So if we get some kind of input where it's supposed to create a sensor reading, and the sensor reading has a device ID, temperature, humidity, and a float, and if any of the values in there wrong, this will catch it, and it will throw an error. Yeah? So let's fix this back. Temperature 34.2. Cool. All right. Yes, you're right. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Where am I now? Give me a sec. So what we want to do, field. Okay, yeah. One other thing that we may need. So a lot of the time, or not a lot of the time, when some of the people were doing presentation, very often Dr. Faulkner will ask a student, where are you going to get the time from? Or doesn't your sensor readings need time? And he would suggest using a real-time clock. Yeah? In some cases, you need immediate and accurate time. You need to get the time as of the sensor reading occurs. So you use a real-time clock for that. But if your application does need time and it's not super sensitive, meaning you don't need to get the time at which the sensor value was taken, you can use a server to get the time. So you can just send the data to the server, and the server will just see what time it is and insert it into the value that it got. And we can do it like this. We can specify a new value here called date time. And what I would want to do is specify, well, firstly I need to specify the type. We don't have the datetime type currently, so we're going to import the datetime type. So from datetime, import datetime. This may look confusing. I said from datetime, import datetime, but what this means is essentially we have a library called datetime, and inside the library we have a module called datetime. I don't know why they call it the same thing, but that's just how we get it. So from the library called datetime, import the module called datetime. And now that we have that, we can use that to specify what the type of a datetime is. So I can specify that a datetime should be of type datetime. Maybe I'm adding to the confusion by, oh, that says data time. That's a mistake. What I was going to say is maybe I'm adding to the confusion by calling this datetime. Maybe I could have called it something simpler, like maybe just time. I can say time equal datetime. So this datetime is this datetime, which is the type. So you specify the name of the attribute or the field, and then you specify its type. Device ID is a string, temperature is a float, humidity is a, or, you know, the rest, battery is an integer, and time is a date time. But that doesn't solve the problem that we're trying to accomplish. The problem we're trying to accomplish is we want it so that whenever we create a new sensor reading, it automatically fills in the time for us. If we leave it like this, what's going to happen is it's going to expect us to fill in the time. And if we don't fill in the time, it's going to complain. Yeah, you're going to error, because it's going to say, the class is supposed to have a date time, but you never put one. So here's what we'll do. We will specify that this time field should have a default value. A default value if we don't specify one. So I'm going to do that by using equal. I'm going to use another thing inside Pydantic called field. So what I mean by that is all of these here, these are all fields inside of the class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a change to the field. We can use the module inside of Pydantic called field that allows us to make modifications to the fields. So the modifications that you can have include, say for instance you wanted to take a battery reading. The battery percentage reading can only be between 0 and 100. If you get a value less than 0 or greater than 100, you want to raise an error. So maybe I can make a modification to the field to say that it must be greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 100. Let me do that with the battery first to show you. So let me see, int equal field, and I'm going to say greater than or equal to 0, comma, less than or equal to 100. Let me take this one out temporarily. So what I have here, I have some constraints on my battery field. It is an int, but these are some constraints. The constraints are, it must be greater than or equal to 0, and it must be less than or equal to 100. I think you have to do GE and LE. If I'm not mistaken, I think you have to do it that way. That is greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. If you want it to be greater than, it has to be GT, and less than is LT. Yeah? The documentation shows, I can post the documentation as well. I'm going to show you a few common ones that we may use in this field. So let's just test it out and see if it works. So let us create, what's that? I spelled field, oh, thank you. Why didn't it complain? That's weird. Thank you. All right, let's create a new sensor reading and say that the battery level is actually 197 and see if it complains. It complained, and the complaint that it has is input should be less than or equal to 100. So we put a value that is 197, and it saw that because it knows it's supposed to be less than or equal to 100. Let's put -2 and save this and run it and see if it complains again. It says input should be greater than or equal to 0. So yeah, we were able to specify some constraints that our data needs to follow in order to be considered valid. So let's put back the 97 and it should be okay. All right, so it's okay. It printed the value. So the time field that I was talking about now, we're going to specify some different configurations of it. The configuration that we're going to specify is what it should be if you don't specify a value. And for that, we will use something called default. The thing is, you have two different kinds of defaults. You have default and your default factory. Default is if you want to specify a singular known value as the default. Example. What's a good example? Let's just make up some. Let us say, for example, if you don't specify what the battery level is, you just assume it's at 50%. So you could say default equal 50. And if you don't specify a value, it would just say 50. So let me take out battery here. Save this, run it, and if you don't, wait, mention error. Oh, wait, what? Oh, you're right. Thank you. Check this out. Thank you. So I need to put it. Check this out. I don't even know if you're going to have a problem. Default 50. Run this now. And by default, I did not specify any battery. I supplied a device ID, a temperature, and a humidity. I didn't put a battery, but it put a battery in there and it set it to 50 because I didn't put one. Yeah? All right. If I don't put anything, it fills it in for me. It puts a default value. If you don't put this here, it won't know what to do. It probably crash here. Because it will expect something, and because it don't get nothing, it will say, yo, this wrong, can't have a battery. So I put field here to make it so that if it don't get anything, fill it in with something. So that's default. Default is if you're going to put a singular known value. But the current time is not a singular known value. The current time is going to be dependent on what time it is. And it's dynamic. And it's filled in by using a function. So in order to call on a function, by default, we use the default factory. Let me go back to what we had before. This, uncomment this. So we're going to be using default factory. So in Python, if you want to get the current time, we can use the datetime library, and we can say datetime.now. And if you say datetime.now, it will give you the current time. Normally, you do something like this. You say datetime.now, right? So you just call that, and it will just return what the current time is. But we can't do it like that, because we need to use the factory. So what we do is we say datetime.now without the brackets. This. Come again? The default factory and default is the same, except default expects a value, a known value. Default factory expects a function. Yeah. Because we can't type and say that the default must be February 4th, because tomorrow it won't be February 4th anymore. So we need Python to dynamically fill in whatever date it will be by using this function, datetime.now. And because it's a function call, we have to use the default factory instead of just using default. Default factory takes a function. Default takes a value. Yeah? And that's a function call. So now, with that in place, with my, okay, I need to specify the battery level. Battery equal 60. And I'm not going to specify the date time. Because the reason I did this is because I want to be able to send data to my server, and I don't necessarily need to be required to insert the time from the sensor or from the microcontroller. I want the server to fill in the time for me. So I basically want, oh, you know what I could have called it instead? Timestamp. That came to me as I was thinking about it just now. Timestamp, that makes more sense. So you have a timestamp, and this will represent the time that the server got the data. Yeah? So if I run that, then it will give me a bag of things that look kind of weird. So I got the device ID, I got the temperature, I got the humidity, I got the battery, and I got the date time in the form of a Python datetime object. But I don't know if we read this. Yeah. So you made a good point. I'd need to format it. And you can if you want to, but you don't necessarily need to, because as it exists now, the way I printed it, I just printed it as an object of class sensor reading. We talked about clients and servers. We talked about requests and response. So maybe I would return this as a response. The thing is, I wouldn't just return this by itself. I'd need to return the JSON equivalent of this. So this by itself is something that is specific to Python. Python understands it. So Python will look at this datetime and say, oh yeah man, the 5th of February, right? Obviously, because all I look at the 5th of February. But we can't understand that because, you know, Python. Yeah, the first three things in there is the date, yeah. The rest of the stuff, that's the time. So this is 3:19 and 49 seconds, and it is probably milliseconds or nanoseconds or something like that. But we don't need all of that.
With this whole time thing, I realized time, I think time start running from 1970.
1970, January 1st, 1970.
Time code that makes sense.
That's when the Earth was created. According to programmers, that's when time started. Yeah, so in programming, they use January 1st, 1970. I don't know what the significance of the date is, but that is known as the epoch.
So,
That's when time started.
we're referring to that in order to find the
To find
time
out.
away, you know?
Yeah, well, yes, you count the number of milliseconds or nanoseconds that have passed since that time. Yeah, yeah.
So that's, so if we have a server that's not connected to the internet, so we can't get the NT, that's all we would have to do to get the current time, because it wouldn't know what's occurring.
Well, no, you'd have to set it.
So the first time you run the server, it fetches the information.
It would probably fetch it from when the machine was first turned on. Or maybe it would consider that it is 1970, January 1st, 1970, depending on how the machine was configured. It very much depends. It's going to be something dependent on 1970. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, so what I was saying is we printed new reading, but this is not going to be our server response back to the client. We need to convert it into something that is JSON compliant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a method that comes from Pydantic called model dump JSON. So I am taking the data that is inside of our new reading and I'm dumping it in the form of a JSON. So this converts it from Python understandable language to JSON. What's that? Oh. The mic. Microphone test. But the levels are going up. Microphone. Microphone. It should be fine. According to this, it's fine. No, you're nothing. Oh. Jeez, okay. Rejoin. Connection was lost. Oh, I don't have internet. Why? My battery died. Duh. Oh. Forgot to plug my phone in. No, it's alright. Let me go on this temporarily. I can go on monoconnect temporarily. Okay. 3310. I doubt that. Okay. It'll connect. All right, my phone is on. I don't want to use up all your data. Oh, all right, cool. Right. Let's see. Okay. Apologies. Let's see if anybody. Tell them they can rejoin. Oh, not already. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Is my camera on? Illegal. All right, cool. Should be good now. Cool. Yes. So we take the object that we created called new reading, and then we're going to convert it to a JSON so that it is JSON compliant. So I'm going to run this now, and this looks a whole lot better. Firstly, we have our curly brackets and our double quotes around each thing. Before, it didn't have all that. Where was it? What did it look like before? Let me print the two versions of it. Copy, paste. Whoops, no. Come again? I'm not hearing you very well. You can put in WhatsApp instead? Oh yeah, I got kicked off for you. Right, so I have two versions now. The first one is the Python version that uses Pydantic. It's just device ID, the value, space, temperature, and so on, but we don't want that. because we can't return that to the client because the client don't understand this. The client don't understand JSON. So we have curly brackets, double quotes, device ID, colon, the value, comma, temperature, the value, comma, humidity, the value, battery, and if you notice, it also put the current time, which is written in a particular format. That format is a very universally understood format. It's called ISO 8601. Yeah? Year, month, day, T, then the time. And the time is going to be written in 24 hour. Yeah? So let me see if I can get it all in one line so it's easier to see. Yeah, there's a JSON library that you can use as well. But in order for me to do that, I have to import the next thing. We already have it in Pydantic, so we just use it. You can use the JSON version if you want, but I already had it in Pydantic, like I said. So yeah, this is the JSON version. This is the Pydantic version. This is something that we would return to the client. Because the client, in what we're going to be looking at in IoT, the client and the server agree to speak the same language, and that is JSON. Yeah? So the server talks in Python, the client may talk in JavaScript, but they need a common language too so they can understand each other. And that common language is JSON. So this is the information that will be sent back to the client. Yeah? And we didn't have to do anything, we didn't have to do any formatting with the time to get it to look like this. We just used the JSON model dump JSON method, and it took that Python datetime object and it converted it into a datetime string of this particular format. Yeah? Yes. That looks like milliseconds, probably, or nanoseconds. No, man, it is 325 and 41 seconds and this many nanoseconds. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let me see. What next did I want to show you? I also was preview. One sec. Not this one. This one. Oh, okay. I guess this is relevant for you, I guess, or other people. All right. So the whole thing about the default factory, we use the default factory if we want to call a function that's supposed to be assigned as the default value for a particular field. Another reason why we'd need that, so for instance, you create a new piece of information and you want to have an ID assigned to it automatically. For example, you'll be familiar with UUID, right, Therese? Yeah? So I can import a UUID library in Python. Can I just say import UUID, I think. And then like, so for instance, I want it to have, instead of device ID, well, it is string. And I'm going to say equal to field default factory, and then I specify a UUID. Can I just say UUID 4? Would that work? Let's see if that works. So instead of specifying the ID, I'm just going to let it fill in the ID for me. That broke because I don't think I can use UUID because it's not a string. Wait, can I just do this? Yeah, you're right. I may not be able to do that. Let me look up and see how that works. Let me see, can I do this? String? No, I probably can't. Let me look it up real quick. Oh, I can use UUID 4, okay. Can I say UUID dot UUID 4? Let's see if this works. Type UUID. Oh, it still worked. But why did it? Oh, it's a warning. What's the warning? The warning says serialize. Yeah, expected. It got string, or it expects a string, but it got a UUID. So I think maybe I would need to specify UUID here instead. See if that works. No. All right, I need to figure out how that part works. Let me see if I can use UUID. Do I need to import UUID? Good question. Let's see. All right. I can stop fiddling. I'm just going to see if I can figure out how to do that, and I'll probably post in the group. You guys good?
Is that class for everyone?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I put a 4 here? All right, yeah. I'm going to figure out how to get this part working. But it looked like it worked when it was string. The problem is it was just throwing an arrow. Not an arrow. Good?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a club meeting here.
I booked this room with engineering for this time. Yeah.
Okay, we can relocate to room A
Just letting you know, I have it booked for the semester.
for the semester.
Yeah. With engineering.
They didn't tell me that.
Understand? Okay. Okay, yeah. So like I said, it seems to be working fine if you use string and call it this way, but it throws a warning. Where is the value? Didn't it work before? Oh, take this out. Jaja. Didn't this work before? Name. What did I comment out? Oh, comment. Oh, thank you. Okay, now it works. But yeah, it's throwing a warning. I just need to figure out how to silence that warning. Because, like I said, it's expecting a string because we put string here, so I need to change this to something else. I just don't know what to change it to. Yeah? It's technically not a string. It's a UUID has a string. Yeah. There may be a way for me to get this working as a string, but yeah. Yeah. But yeah, for now, just understand that, yeah, we can use default factory if we wanted to specify an ID. I guess in this case, it technically wouldn't make sense for us to specify what the ID of the device is. The device is supposed to know its own ID. Yeah. But it's just an example. If it's a case where it's like a reading ID or something that needs to be unique from all the others, a way to identify a particular object or transaction or something. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
Let's send us a temperature to the website and Wi-Fi connects that. I use the ID thing for member that and ask what they get because the same one was lost. You understand?
You're asking me if you can use an ID to recall the last value that was received? Is that what you said?
Wi-Fi break, I can use data.
I'm not sure if I understand. Do me a favor. Put the question in WhatsApp because I'm not hearing you very clearly. So I'm not sure if I'm understanding what you're saying. Put it in WhatsApp so I can read it. Okay. To answer the last question that I see on WhatsApp, you're asking if the JSON thing is a library. And what I was saying was that the JSON thing, model dump underscore JSON, it comes to us because we have access to Pydantic. So if you have Pydantic, you can use that. It's a method on base model objects in Pydantic. All right. Right. Let me see. So yeah, I was showing that you have different versions or different things that you can use for your constraints when you're using your field. You can use greater than or equal to. You can use your less than or equal to. You can use greater than, and you can use less than. I don't know when you'd ever need this, but you also have multiple of. So it's a case where it can only ever be a multiple of a particular number. I don't know why, like I said, I don't know why you'd ever need that. But let's say, for instance, your battery can only ever be 5% or 10% or 15%. If you get anything outside of that, then probably wrong. So if it is a multiple of 5, then it's valid. If it is not a multiple of 5, then it's invalid.
5% increase.
Yeah, maybe. It could be something like that, yeah. That is a very specific reason. But yeah, I guess it very much depends on your use case. What else do we have? Yeah, so less than, greater than. Oh, some other really good ones. Let's say, for instance, it is a case where you have a value, or let's use the device ID. Let's say for your device ID, you guys are familiar with the MAC address. The MAC address of a device is something going to be looking like A4D53339E something. That is, I think it is, what MAC addresses look like? I think it's 6. Let me see. MAC address has MAC address format. So MAC addresses always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chunks. Yeah. So if you were supposed to send it that look like this, that is 6 times 2 is 12. A MAC address will always have 12 characters. So if maybe you're using the MAC address of a device as its device ID, so when you're sending it, you're expecting it to always be equal to 6 characters. You could specify that it must be, how you specify equal to? There is a min length and a max length. How you specify exact length?
So instead of trying labeling in the code, I just retrieve the markup just for the device.
Yeah, in the Arduino code, yeah, you can do that. I don't know how to get the exact length. Size? All right, let me see. Come again?
So you can make the client different clients in different data. But in the server, you have to compare the MAC address.
Right.
In order to put things in certain positions.
Right. So in order for you to know exactly where data coming from, you look at the MAC address. And MAC address will tell you that is this device sending information as opposed to that one. Yeah? You can change them. You shouldn't, but you can change them.
Let me change a MAC address and a ESP and reset the ESP. One thing about the previous one.
I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, MAC address is a physical hardware thing that is set at manufacturing time. But yeah, they can be changed. But I think you're right. Maybe when you reset the thing, it will go back. Yeah, let me see if Pydantic has an exact length. Because I see min length and I see max length. Pydantic field exact length. I soon read your message. So we can use. All right, let me read this message in the meantime. So you're asking if we could use UID to track the live data that is being sent to our website for cases when you lose connection. If the connection is lost, the website would request to send data that was lost. This is for plotting temperature versus time charts. I'm not sure if UUID would help very much in a case like this, because you'd have to know what the UUID of the data is. And you can't just guess. Battery low, let me try that.
Unless a package, time with the UUID.
Come again?
I said in the case where you want to ask for a package time plus UUID, so in case you fall short.
You'll be able to get it back by using the time. Yeah, but maybe not time, maybe not both. All right, so it looks like for exact length. I did have this in mind, but I didn't think this was going to happen. You can use a combination of min length and max length. Max length equal. So if you set these both to be the same value, then you'd make it so that it can only ever be 12. Oh, yeah, thanks. Cool. So with this, if I specify a device ID, so I'm going to put a device ID here, device ID equal to, and if I specify that it's supposed to be this, this should not work because it is not 12 characters long. So I can run this and it's going to complain. It's going to tell me a validation error, sensor reading for device ID. String should have at least 12 characters. So let's put in some more. I'm going to just copy this, paste it. So that's 12 characters now. I'm going to put in one more. Save it. And now it's saying it should have at most 12 characters because I have too much. Take out that. And now it works because MAC addresses only have exactly 12 characters. That is if you don't include the colons in them. Yeah? Okay. Come back to that later. Oh, you know what? I guess, I'm not sure when this would ever come up, but it might be useful. Suppose a case where when you're returning the information back to the user or the client, you don't want them to see the ID that you sent. I don't know why you do that. You could specify that the ID should be excluded. So right now it says device ID is equal to this, but if I run this again, it does not include it this time. Device ID is not there because I told it to exclude it. It only excludes it when you're printing it back. So, oh, it's printed here, but not here. That's fascinating. Yeah, I have two prints. One that prints the object itself and one that prints the object in the form of a JSON. It did not include it when it was printed as a JSON. I guess that makes sense. Because right here I'm just printing the object as it exists. And this I'm printing a version of the object. A dumped version. I didn't modify it.
No, it did modify the thing and say excluded.
Yeah, I did. So I guess, yeah, exactly, that's true. So I'm just printing it exactly as it exists without making any changes. But when I'm printing the version of it that I'm going to send back, it's supposed to exclude it from there. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why you'd ever need this. I don't know. It could be that maybe when you're using a default factory, let's say for instance you use the default factory and you wanted to specify a transaction ID, maybe. Transaction underscore ID equal to str, and then let me use the field, and then say default factory is equal to uuid dot uuid4. So a transaction ID is probably something that is required for internal use. It is how maybe somebody on the inside would reference a value in the database. So if they know the transaction ID, they can go in the database and find the record they're looking for. But you don't want any old person outside of your organization to know the transaction ID. It still needs to exist though. So because it still needs to exist, you can put a exclude on it. So that when you're returning the object back to the user, it doesn't come back in the object. The client that made the request. Why is it broken? Transaction ID, default factory, UID. Did I do it differently from the way I did it before? Requires a type. Oh, I didn't specify type? Oh, it's supposed to be a colon. Mistake. Okay, so up here it has a transaction. Well, it's not complaining anymore. I'm confused. All right, I don't understand that. It was complaining before about the warning, but now it isn't. Is it because I just did it enough times and it just got tired of me? But yeah, up here it has a device ID, which I specified, a transaction ID that is meant for internal purposes, but in the JSON version, it is not included because nobody outside of the organization is supposed to know about the transaction ID. Yeah? So that could be a use case of why you'd exclude something from the JSON. Yeah? Okay. Let me see. 15 minutes left. Do I have stuff that I want to show? Right.
generate the same UUID and send it.
Well, if it's in the
That's
app,
the authentication.
you may be able to open the app and see what it generates.
Or you may be able to, like the same background thing that show.
Maybe. Yeah, because it's in the app, you may be able to crack open the app and see it. So you don't want it to be a case where it's stored in the app on the person's phone, because it's their phone. They can do whatever they want with the phone, and maybe they can open the app and see all that stuff going on.
So they try to keep the token and
Separate, yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Does it make sense? Have any questions about this or anything else? Is it difficult, complicated? Or it's all right? Maybe we need to go over it on our own time and practice. Yeah. Yeah. I can give you some exercises that you can do and show me tomorrow. And I guess depending on how that goes, if we're comfortable with this, we can start looking at API stuff next week. All right?
How much is that the building comes?
We're going to be using this for every API that we build. Because, like I said, when we are making requests to our server, for example, if it's a post request and the post request have some data in it, you want to make sure that the data that's being sent to the server conforms to some rules. Because if it don't conform to those rules, you're going to be putting dirty data in your database. You don't want that. You want to make sure that it is clean data and it's not corrupt and it don't ruin your website or your application. So we use Pydantic to create our models. It's called a model. And as long as the data that you're sending conforms to this model and it passed the check, then it's good. It's stored in the database. If it don't pass, you do not store it in the database. You raise an alarm, you raise an error and say, yo, this is wrong, something wrong with it. Yeah? Okay. There are a few other stuff I can go on about, but I'll leave it for when we start the API stuff. So yeah, we can start there for now. And we'll meet again tomorrow. Well, we don't meet in person. I'll post a tutorial and I'll put a call online, and if you want my attention, you can talk to me. Yeah. Good? Guys on the call, good? I don't even know who's on the call. One person on the call, the one man on the call, you good? Matthew? Okay, cool. Matthew said cool. All right, yeah. So, yeah, I didn't get through everything I wanted to because I left my laptop charger, I mean, but it's fine. I got through enough. So yeah, I'll post something. The stuff that I went through today, I'll post documentation. I should have access to VLE soon because I signed my contract. So once I get access to VLE, I'll post everything that I've posted so far on VLE. But yeah, for now, just look out for it on WhatsApp. And also, it's very important, the stuff that I did today with the virtual environment and the Pydantic stuff, it is stuff that we're going to be doing very, very often every time we make a new project. So it's stuff that you need to get used to from now. So watch the video, look out for the documentation. I'm going to post tutorials on how to do what I did. Make sure you read it, watch the video, ask me a question, because we're going to be doing it a lot going forward. Yeah? Good? All right, cool. So that's it for today. We'll talk tomorrow. All right, Matthew.